The Babyface's blaster has been in slight turbulence of nerfs and buffs since its inclusion in the Pyromania update as part of the Public Enemy set. With gaining boost for the damage being the core concept, it can get pretty hard to balance. But one of the most infamous nerfs came along with the Gunmetal update. Boost will now get lost upon taking damage. This has led the community to collectively and almost unanimously announce the Babyface as a bad weapon. As the scout soaks up a lot of damage, he's an easy to kill target and a general pest. He's generally targeted down like an opossum in the garbage, if you will. Before this, the Babyface was accepted as an all-around balanced weapon, with the following changes coming with the Two Cities update. Speed penalty was changed from 35 to 10%. Boost was now only partially lost on air jumps instead of being completely reset on any jump. They reduced the clip size from 6 pellets to 4. They removed the 40% more accurate attribute, and finally removed the minus 30% damage penalty attribute. This was by far one of the better times for the Babyface, but Gunmetal made the community collectively sigh and groan at Valve's arguable decision. What if I told you though that it's not quite as bad as it might seem at first glance? My name's Cody and I'm here to ask an age-old question. How bad could it be? Let me state that this weapon is not terrible, it's just a bit harder to use. Most of the reason is the aforementioned boost loss nerf. This weapon always kinda has been a flank/stealth weapon, but that fact became even more apparent with Gunmetal, encouraging scouts using it not to take the damage. However, this nerf probably came about with the intention of making it more fair for people to deal with scouts using the weapon. They could be a huge pain before, with their only way to lose a small percent of their boost was to double jump in the air. This essentially meant that if the enemy scout didn't want to go slower, he didn't have to. This was to make up for the speed increase, as if you're fast, even for scout, there's not much reason to be agile and get away with double jumping without consequence or sacrifice. But it didn't really help, as the main problem was that they were fast, and they didn't need to jump around mindlessly to be hard to track, especially since they did have one free jump, and that one free jump was faster than normal, so it could throw you off if you're not paying attention. So this of course meant that professional or absurdly good scout players such as Scotcha or Star could easily take advantage of the weapon's disadvantages and absolutely abuse its advantages. But with the new nerf, they're not entirely in control of the battle anymore. They have to account for the other guy and how much damage they're taking, along with the fact that double jumping will lose boost as well, and it's not as easy to recover boost while taking damage and double jumping. On top of the many things that make this weapon still at least a little bit viable, is the fact that you don't lose all that much base speed on equipping it, only 10%, which changed from the original 35. This makes the weapon still usable with no boost at all, although you still generally want to have that boost anyway. You're still quite a bit faster than some of the other classes, which makes you still a very viable mobile choice. So, in all, the Babyfaces is still pretty balanced. It's just under a list of weapons that need a little more practice to master than most. There are some downsides though. Losing boost on damage taken can still be used to a scout's advantage. This means that adjusting to a decent scout speed is still pretty difficult sometimes, especially if a scout is intentionally taking damage while using the Mad Milk to heal after gaining boost, only to have it lowered immediately afterward by damage, then raising it again while healing using the Mad Milk. It essentially becomes a big old clusterfuck of trying to adjust to a constant speed, which is lacking in the battle. The weapon is definitely not amazing, but it's at least decently balanced for the most part. The summer update's around the corner, and hopefully they'll make it a bit more viable again, but hopefully I've shed a little bit of light on the situation and status of the Babyface, and how I personally feel that it could be given a second chance.